Right now, text released between Ukrainian diplomats and Trump administration. Plus, New York State delays e-cigarette ban. New information on the country fair robberies. And we sat down with St. Bonaventure soccer player Mia Thatcher for this week's player profile.
Good morning and hello, I'm Ethan Pryor. Brendan, did you know it's National Taco Day this morning?
I did not, Ethan. Let's jump right into it. New this morning, the House Intelligence Committee released text from U.S. Special Envoy Kurt Volker. It shows President Trump wanted the Ukrainian president to agree to investigating former Vice President Joe Biden. As you can see here, Volker wrote to a Ukrainian top diplomat talking about getting a date for a visit to Washington. This all comes after Trump calls on China to investigate Biden.
China should start an investigation into the Bidens, because what happened in China is just about as bad as what happened with Ukraine.
President Trump calling on China to investigate former Vice President Joe Biden, and not for the first time. Two sources say Trump discussed Biden's political prospects with China's president in a June phone call that was later stored on the same highly secure server used to house the now infamous phone call with Ukraine's president. Responding to Trump's Thursday comments, a Chinese diplomat saying, quote, "We do not want to get in the middle of U.S. politics." Former Vice President Joe Biden also responded.
I don't listen much to what the president has to say.
Meantime, former U.S. Special Envoy for Ukraine, Kurt Volker, testified Thursday that he warned Ukraine not to interfere in U.S. politics. That's according to two sources and seems to confirm the whistleblower's complaint. House Oversight Committee ranking member Jim Jordan differs.
Not one thing he has said comports with any of the Democrats' impeachment narrative.
House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy is calling for the inquiry to be suspended.
We'll follow the facts, and the decision committee will make a recommendation about how we go forward, if we go forward.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
With all the talk about a possible impeachment for President Trump, I spoke to St. Bonaventure students to find out how informed they really are. President Trump is accused of breaking the law by asking foreign entities for help in the United States election. In July, President Trump urged Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to investigate Joe Biden. Joe Biden is currently one of the frontrunners opposing Trump for the 2020 election. According to Dr. Elizabeth Tillman, a Bonaventure political science professor, though it is understandable that not everyone has an interest in this subject matter, everyone should have an understanding of it.
And I have a mix of students who are informed and not informed about it, but overall, I think it really depends on their interest level, but it's a hot-button issue that I think every student, every American should be aware of at least.
Being a student here myself, I was able to take a poll of a large sample size of students. Of the students polled, a staggering 24% were unaware that the impeachment inquiry was taking place. For the students who were aware, an even more unbelievable 70% were unable to name any of the people or specific details about the case. Trevor North, a senior political science major and student government chief justice, says that no college-age person has an excuse to not be informed.
So the fact that 25% don't know is a little weird, because then it's like, have you been living under a rock? Because it's not only over Twitter, it's on Facebook everywhere. So like my aunts and uncles are sharing things, my grandparents are sharing things. So like those are just things that you can see when you're scrolling through your phone.
For SBU-TV, I'm Ethan Pryor. The impeachment inquiry will continue. President Trump has stated that he has an absolute right to investigate or have investigated corruption.
After a health scare, Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders promises to return to the debate stage in 2 weeks. Sanders experienced chest pain Tuesday after a medical evaluation. Doctors found a blockage in one artery. He underwent surgery that night in Las Vegas and has been in recovery.
Should dog owners in Olean and Allegheny keep their dogs on leashes more often? Teddy Caputo spoke with an Allegheny resident on the matter after an unleashed dog attacked his dog.
Philip Butler, an Allegheny resident, frustrated after his neighbor's bull mastiff attacked his dog Sativa, an Australian Shepherd Black Lab mix.
They went to let the dog out, it got loose, come over and went straight at my dog and grabbed a hold of her neck, started shaking her around a little bit.
Sativa didn't sustain any injury from the attack due to her thick, protective red collar. However, if the bull mastiff stays unleashed, Butler worries about the safety of his dog, especially when his grandkids come over to play with her.
Definitely don't dare let my grandkids walk the dog, because I mean, what if that dog goes after my dog while my grandkids got a hold of a leash, you know? I mean, I don't even want to think about it. At least my dog could have to defend herself, but, you know, a smaller dog wouldn't have a chance. And I don't think a little child would have a chance either.
I'm here at Sherwood Trailer Court, where there have been 4 reported incidents involving unleashed dogs within the past few months. This is also where Philip Butler and his significant other, Lori Smith, live. Butler went to file a dangerous animal report to the Allegheny Police and Animal Control, but he said they couldn't file a report without any video or injury from the attack. I talked to Cindy Knupp, the town's dog warden, and she told me he hadn't filed the proper paperwork in order for the report to be properly filed. However, he didn't receive the necessary paperwork from the Animal Control Office until just a few days ago. Once Butler officially files the report, the town judge will review the case and decide whether it's worth looking further into or not. I'm Teddy Caputo, SBU-TV, New Now Next.
The owners of the unleashed dog were unavailable for comment at this time. We will keep you updated with any new developments we hear on unleashed dog attacks.
The New York State temporary vape ban on flavored e-cigarette products, which was expected to begin today, has now been put on hold. Our Tommy Valentine visited a local vape store to find out what this means for the industry moving forward.
After preparing all week to clear their shelves of flavored e-cigarette products, vape stores across New York learned Thursday afternoon they're receiving an extension and can continue to sell those products until at least October 18th. M3 Vapor of Vape Shop in Olean knows how crucial this decision is for their business.
This was down to the final hour where we were looking at the ban. I'm ready to pack all this up, but we're going to be allowed to continue our flavors for another 15 days, which is wonderful. And I mean, that's all of our profits.
The extension comes after the Vapor Technology Association sued the state over the ban. The case was taken to the state appellate division, and the VTA received a restraining order, not allowing the state to enforce the ban. However, customers had already anticipated the ban would be starting today. Josh has told me that sales have increased significantly this week, with customers stocking up on their favorite e-liquids, including Juicy Dragon and Ice Fetty, which are now still available to be sold. While the ban is aimed at decreasing the number of children who vape, customers who are using vaping as an alternative to smoking cigarettes are concerned about what they might have to resort to should the ban eventually be put into effect.
When you get a ban like this, it kind of leaves you don't know what you're going to do. You don't know if you're going to pick up smoking, start smoking cigars. You don't know. I don't know. So I haven't really crossed that bridge yet.
The VTA said they hope to achieve both goals of restricting youth vaping while also preserving flavored alternatives for adults desperately trying to quit smoking. Tommy Valentine, SBU-TV, New Now Next.
The state and the VTA will be able to make their cases before a judge on October 18th. Until then, vape stores will continue selling the flavored e-liquids.
As promised, SBU-TV's Amanda Oliver gives an update on the country fair theft, plus some security tips to help keep your personal information safe.
We're at Country Fair on East State Street, where on September 12th, around 6:30 p.m., a white male suspect used a stolen credit card from a previous customer. Then again on September 14th, around 7:30 p.m. at the Wayne Street Country Fair.
The City of Olean Police Department sent me a statement regarding this case. It was not a robbery, it was a use of a stolen credit card. The case was closed by the suspect paying the victim back the money. A settlement was reached between the two parties to avoid prosecution. No additional information was given at this time. To make sure these things don't happen to you, I spoke with Director of the Cybersecurity Program, Dr. Hussein Sarafzadeh, and he gave us a few tips on how to keep your personal information safe.
Make sure you don't use your main credit card. Don't use your debit card because it is linked to your account directly. Anything that goes out is gone. But with your credit card, it goes to the company, they check details, and if they have fraud detection technologies that they use. But make sure there's an S at the end of HTTP, so it's secure. Security is never 100%, despite all the advice that you can get, and there's a lot of it around online. You may still get hacked, and your information could be sold online.
I'm Amanda Oliver, SBU-TV, New Now Next.
Now, if you're like Brendan and I, and you just don't have cash to spare, you have to be safe. So remember to think about where and when you swipe your credit cards. For more information about cybersecurity, visit our Facebook page. Coming up, we take you to the latest neighborhood watch meeting in Olean.
Plus, a friar opens his own barbershop on campus. Stick around.
Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Do we have a gun?
Why do you ask that, kiddo?
What are you looking for?
St. Bonaventure received a grant to promote prevention of gender-based violence. Michaela Hyman reports.
Last year, St. Bonaventure University received a $300,000 grant through the Department of Justice. The grant is designed to strengthen campuses by spreading awareness and offering prevention methods for gender-based violence. Some of the programs being initiated through the grant include peer mentoring, bystander intervention, and sexual assault prevention training. Dr. Jennifer Karash Eastman, the project coordinator for the grant, explained the importance of male supporting the future programs, especially male athletes.
We know that in our culture, if men stand up and support something, change can happen.
I sat down with Jaron English, a member of the St. Bonaventure University men's basketball team, to see what he had to say.
If we're taught how to handle situations like that and diffuse those situations as men, and I feel like we'd have less problems.
1 in 4 women experience sexual assault throughout their college career, and St. Bonaventure University is part of that statistic.
According to St. Bonaventure's Security and Fire Safety Report, there have been 12 reported rapes on campus property since 2016. The Department of Justice campus program's goal is to prevent rape and assault from happening.
The grant is designed to implement more awareness, more education, more preventive measures, more response to victims. When we have that combination of education for prevention, more services, more students talking about it, more openness, it's going to show results.
Michaela Hyman, SBU-TV, New, Now, Next.
These programs will be implemented for the 2020 spring semester.
Olean held a neighborhood watch meeting, and our Matthew Shalou was there.
This past week, I was in attendance as the people of Olean displayed their opinions and frustrations in an open meeting at the Olean Municipal Building. I caught up with the organizer of the event, Kathy Andriano, the alderman of Ward 2, and she told me why she decided to organize this event.
A few years ago, I held a town hall meeting for the residents of my ward to discuss issues they're having, concerns they're having, celebrations, anything that they needed to come share. And it was in that meeting that I realized there's a lot more going on in our neighborhoods that we as aldermen may not know about. And we certainly have tools at our disposal to try and help the neighbors. So I decided to open it up and create this task force citywide.
Roughly around 12 people showed up to go over various topics, ranging anywhere from a possible drug issue in the area to possibly setting up more neighborhood watch groups.
We want to be preventive. We want to take the information, things that are going on, take it to the proper authorities, but we also want to be preventive. Our motto is, if you see something, say something.
After witnessing the meeting that took place in the Olean Municipal Building behind me, it is clear to say that the people of Olean want to see a change to their neighborhoods, making them a much safer place. I'm Matthew Shalou, reporting for SBU-TV, New, Now, Next.
St. Bonaventure's student-run calling program, known as the Bonathon, is down 13% in alumni donations compared to last year. I spoke to the Bonathon's manager to find out why.
It's a common trend seen across the nation. Alumni simply aren't giving as much as they used to. According to the Council for Aid to Education, the number of alumni who gave to their alma mater dropped to 9% in 2013, half of what it was only 2 decades ago. So why has this drop in donations happened?
It mainly has to do with cell phones. More specifically, the caller ID in the cell phones. Even old dinosaurs like this thing have caller ID. And what that has done is made more people less likely to answer phone calls with numbers they don't recognize.
So, how important are the donations made by the Bonathon? Surely a student tuition covers most of it, right? I spoke to Rachel Elser, the manager of the Bonathon, to find out more.
If everyone were to pay 100% of their tuition with zero financial aid, zero scholarships, zero grants, that would only cover 68% of keeping Bonaventure going.
The other hypothetical 32% is covered by the Bona Fund, which is made up of donation, grants, and Seraphin gifts, which are gifts left by deceased alumni. It is important to note that it is not the amount of the donation that is decreasing, but rather the amount of alumni who are donating. Brendan O'Leary, New Now Next, SBU-TV.
The Bonathon states it is still on track to meet its $260,000 goal by the end of the year.
Harmful algae bloom has been found in one of Allegheny County's popular lakes.
Algae bloom is a growth of algae that produces harmful toxins, which is dangerous to humans, wildlife, and pets. Cuba Lake, located in Cuba, New York, is home to around 1,500 individuals. The 445-acre lake brings year-round fun to locals and tourists. Allegheny County's Department of Public Health Supervisor, Teresa Moore, says people and pets should avoid contact with the blooms and should rinse off with clean water if the contact occurs. Symptoms are breathing problems, nausea, skin, eye, and throat irritation, and allergic reactions. Local property owners are passionate about Lake Cuba and have concerns.
My family's owned a camp up here for about 8 years now. And we have dogs that are always swimming in the water. They love it. Our neighbors, they have grandkids that swim in the water. So it's a little bit scary to think about the fact that there's something in the water that could hurt them.
The harmful growth of algae is caused by a mix between high temperatures and low water levels. The Department of Environmental Conservation said that after the cold temperatures of winter, the algae will die. I'm Paige Perry reporting for SBU-TV, New Now Next.
Hong Kong invokes emergency powers to ban masks in public spaces. Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam declared that anyone wearing a mask could face up to 1 year in prison. This comes as a response to the wave of violent protests that have emerged all across Hong Kong, recently claiming that the life of an 18-year-old after being shot by a police officer. Coming up, Bonaventure plans for Bahama relief.
Plus, SBU students, you can get a free haircut on campus. Stay with us for more.
What are you looking for?
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back, and thanks for sticking with us. An on-campus volunteer organization still striving to get disaster relief to the Bahamas. SBU-TV's Emily Weber has the story.
As the Bahamas are still struggling from the damages of Hurricane Dorian, St. Bonaventure takes action. A volunteer organization known as Bona Responds plans to bring students there over the semester break to help with disaster relief. But what's stopping them from going now? Bona Responds leader Jim Mahar explains.
We've had disasters every year. We couldn't do it. And this year, while we do have a disaster, a really big one, in the Bahamas, we can't get there in that shorter break. And so therefore, we'll save that one for Christmas break, and we'll go to Cleveland for this one.
The group plans to go to St. Francis Elementary School in Cleveland for this midterm break. This is the Bona Responds trailer where 15 students will meet here this Friday before departing for Cleveland. They plan to bring the school back to life by laying new drywall, painting, and even building a new garden. They have all the supplies they need for that right in there. The trip costs $40 per volunteer to cover the t-shirts, gas money, and food. Donations cover the rest. Students like Evan McCabe still make continuous efforts to help the Bahamas right now through fundraisers like the talent show hosted by Professor Kristen Ryan's marketing class. McCabe has been a member since his sophomore year and describes his involvement as wonderful.
Just helping people, giving people hope that people do care about them and that there is a chance for them to recover from whatever they are recovering from.
Mahar and McCabe said they welcome anyone from the community to come and lend a hand.
The Bond Response trip to the Bahamas will take place December 28th and January 19th. Before then, we will hold a toy drive to collect Christmas presents for those who lost their homes.
Election day is approaching, but it may come sooner for some. Madeline Edwards discovers a new opportunity for New York voters.
Registering to vote is just the first step to get to vote.
New this year in New York, early voting. You don't even need a reason to vote early. This gives residents the opportunity to vote before the polls open on November 5th. Early voting begins October 26th and runs through November 3rd. The location is not necessarily at your usual polling place. It's held at specific polling places based on your county. In Cattaraugus County, there are 2 locations available: the Board of Elections office in Little Valley Elementary School or the Magnano Room at Jamestown Community College. But you still need to be registered to vote. You can get a registration form in person at your local Board of Elections or anywhere that holds a voter registrations event for New York. You must have your registration filled out and mailed by October 11th in order to vote in the November election. Why should you register? I spoke to some women to get their take.
Can't have a democracy without people voting. And the voters have to represent all aspects of the population.
Registering to vote means that you're having a say in what's going to eventually impact you.
And I think we owe it to all of the people who have dedicated their lives to instill that principle in our country.
They all emphasized to me there are still 8 days left to register. With SBU-TV, I'm Madeline Edwards.
Now, if you're away from your local polling place, there's no reason to fear. You still have until October 29th to send in your absentee ballot.
Bonna students have a new place on campus to get their haircut for free. Justin Meyer sat in the chair to give you the details.
When you think about your barber, you wouldn't think he'd be a friar. But Brother Angel isn't your typical friar. I spoke with Brother Angel about why he decided to make cutting hair his ministry.
Though there was this great New York Times article a couple of years back about a hairstylist in Manhattan who would just go around the city offering free haircuts to people who lived on the streets. And he talked about it being good karma. And I just remember instantly, like my grandfather's shop and the feeling of having a place that you were welcomed in and, you know, looking good, feeling good kind of a thing. And I thought to myself, now that's a good ministry right there.
I also spoke with SBU senior soccer player John Michael Perkins about the new barbershop.
Great addition to campus, you know. Before we had to go all the way down to Olean to get a haircut, you know, having to pay $20 almost every other week. So now that we have the friar and he's giving free haircuts, it's just nothing more you could ask for.
One of the most convenient parts about this barbershop is that you can walk in to get a haircut at any time. Perkins also commented on the quality of haircuts Brother Angel gives.
It's not bad, you know, for you're getting a free haircut. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Obviously, it's not going to compare to paying $20 and getting a proper haircut, but this still gets the job done.
For SBU-TV, I'm Justin Myers. New, now, next.
If you're interested in getting a haircut, his hours are between 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., Tuesday through Friday and Saturday 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Up next, we have an exclusive interview with a Bonaventure soccer player who could be playing for the Puerto Rican national team.
You know, Brendan, that's amazing. Good for her. You don't want to miss this, you know? Stick around. Stay with us.
1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your favorite brother, your other brother, you, your football buddy, your football buddy, you, the boss's boss. If 1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes, that means it could be you, your barber, your barber's barber.
Nice work. Thanks.
You, your plumber,
Breathe right into your foot.
your plumber's masseuse.
Yes.
You, your dog walker,
On your left.
your cat jogger. or you, your co-pilot, your co-pilot's co-pilot. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org to know where you stand.
Welcome back, and thanks for being loyal and sticking around. Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen has been in concussion protocol all week. SBU-TV's Isaiah Blakely talked to multiple trainers in this area to find out how they treat concussions.
Big hits and possible concussions like those aren't just happening in the NFL. Each year, over 4,000 New York State children and teens are being treated for sports-related traumatic brain injuries.
Olean High School athletic trainer John Keaton told me there have already been several concussions in football, soccer, and one in cross country. I asked Keaton if he noticed an increase in student awareness about concussions.
They see more awareness in the NFL and the major league sports. It doesn't help. I mean, it helps them understand it better.
Keaton told me that all athletes go through an online baseline concussion test called Impact, which is used at all levels of sports. I talked to Liam Phelan, who was on the rugby team and got concussed in a game on Saturday. Phelan said he didn't talk to trainers until Monday, and now he's taking tests like Impact to get back on the field.
I had to take an online test where you had to do click numbers and stuff on the computer, and then when I went to the nurse, you had to do a balance test and a memory test as well.
St. Bonaventure's interim director of sports medicine, Joshua Wall, talked about second impact syndrome.
So if an athlete were to hide symptoms, try to play through it, worst case scenarios, if they get hit again, they get an injury called second impact syndrome, and that's when you get swelling of the brain. So that's an emergency, you got to go to the hospital.
I asked Phelan if he would handle the situation differently in the future.
Yeah, I'd definitely go right after the impact happened, I'd get looked at.
Wall said current research is looking to make testing for concussions less subjective. Isaiah Blakely, SBU-TV, New Now Next.
Now, head injuries are nothing to joke around with. Olean's full concussion protocol is located in the Olean School District Athletics Handbook, which can be found online. Now, over to Nick Gallo, my boy Nicky G with sports.
Thanks, Brennan and Ethan, and welcome everybody to SBU-TV Sports. I'm Ryan Bolin. To kick off our sports segment, let's go to our fourth installment of the Player Profile as I sit down with Bona's women's soccer player Mia Thatcher as she gives us some exciting news about her recent trip to Puerto Rico. I'm sitting down with St. Bonaventure women's soccer sophomore midfielder Mia Thatcher. Thank you for joining us here at the Player Profile, Mia.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Really appreciate this opportunity.
You were just in Puerto Rico last week trying out for the Puerto Rican women's national soccer team. Describe how that experience was.
It was just amazing and breathtaking. Honestly, it was such an honor to be there.
Do you have a time frame from when you're going to hear from the Puerto Rican coaching staff?
So I actually did make the team. It was probably the happiest time of my life, honestly. I don't think happiness can describe what I was feeling.
You also tried out for the national team back in 2017, but unfortunately it was canceled due to Hurricane Maria. Describe how that experience was different from the one that you just had.
I was more prepared, I would say, the second time than going into the first time, and more ready, and just I appreciated it more.
What are your personal goals for the season?
Personally, I want to make A10s because just to be a part of that, St. Bonaventure women's soccer makes A10s, that would be huge.
Thank you, Mia, for taking time with us here at the Player Profile.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Bonus on 3! 1, 2, 3! Thatcher plans to head back to Puerto Rico in November to rejoin the team. Thursday, Bona's women's soccer faced off against A10 rival Dayton. Let's take a look at the highlights.
The game between the Bonnies and Flyers was rainy throughout. It was the Flyers who had the fast start and got on the board in the 17th minute with a spectacular leaping header from Dayton's leading goal scorer, Alex Goins. Throughout the game, the Bonnies had limited opportunities to score as they were outshot 13-7, but they came close a couple of times. In the 20th minute, Maddie Mason had a header of her own that just went wide, and in the final seconds, the Bonnies had a rush and corner kick, but were not able to capitalize. They ended up losing this one 1-0 to move to 4-7-1 on the season.
Coach Brzezinski and his team will be traveling next to Missouri to take on St. Louis University Sunday, October 6th. The St. Bonaventure men's golf team is in Ireland this weekend as they faced off against Trinity College of Dublin, which was played at Portmanock Golf Club. They are also playing at other top courses throughout the country of Ireland, such as Waterville, Tralee, Doonbeg, and Island Club. Follow our social media pages for updates. Thank you for tuning in to SBU-TV Sports. I'm Ryan Bolin. Back to you, Brennan and Ethan.
Thanks and great job, Ryan. And thank you for staying with us this morning, putting up with our show. Stay up to date with the latest news on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm Ethan Pryor.
And I'm Brendan O'Leary. We have midterm break this week, but we'll be back October 16th for your midweek update. So stay tuned and have a great weekend.